Some leadership myths. We've all heard these. I want to spend some time debunking them because most of them, frankly, are just a crock. For instance, some of us hear that leadership is a rare skill. Come on, folks, it's not rare. You go to an association meeting, you see leadership. You go to the Boy Scouts, you go to Little League team, your soccer team, you go to schools. Everywhere you go, there's leadership around us. We see it everywhere. So no, it's absolutely not a rare skill. The second myth this one bugs me, obviously, because of what I do for a living, is that leaders are born, not made. Man, I gotta tell you, that's at the top of my crock list. That's absolute garbage. Leaders are made. Leadership, listen to me, I'm gonna say this. Leadership is a learned skill. It's a learned skill. You learn to ride a bicycle, learn to shoot a gun, learn to play golf. Okay, I didn't learn that very well, but I try to play golf. We learn these things. They're skills. Leadership, the concepts behind leadership, the behaviors, the actions we need to take, folks, those are learned skills. Now, where some of the argument can come along about being born is, yes, some of us are born with a better propensity, if you will, to learn those specific skills. For instance, going back to my golf comment, I obviously was not born with the propensity to easily learn the game of golf. It just doesn't come to me that easy. Now, I will say, I've been playing it for 35 years. I will say that others do. I have a friend that I taught, again, some 30 years ago, and I bet we were probably the second or third time I'd had him on the golf course. We were on a par 3, it's about 130 yards. He said a 3-wood. Are you kidding me? A 3-wood, 130 yards? Anyway, the ball never clears ankle height. Never clears ankle height. Slams into the pin, making about 20 miles an hour, drops straight in the hole. So he gets a hole-in-one the second time he's been on a golf course. I've been playing golf 35, 36 years. I've never had one. So apparently, Gordon Williams had a better propensity for learning golf than I. The third myth, and this one bears some comment, is that leaders must be charismatic. That leaders must be flamboyant, if you will, to be effective leaders. I have to tell you, it's wrong. It's wrong, and I can give you examples. It's not just me saying they're wrong because I think they're wrong. It is wrong. USA Today did a study and determined quite clearly that a little over 4 in 10 of CEOs today in the Fortune 1000, 4 in 10 Fortune 1000 today, CEOs, are considered introverts, very much introverts. Think about it further. Bill Gates, Microsoft, great big company. He's, by most people's accounts, very much an introvert. Warren Buffett, my word, but he's clearly an introvert. Shies away from publicity, all he can. But, you know, the list goes on. Walmart, 18th largest company in the entire planet, Walmart. Who's the CEO? Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you, his name's Mike Duke. But don't you think, as the largest company in the United States and the 18th largest in the world, that we ought to know his name, that ought to be a household name? Well, that's because he's not extroverted at all. He's quite the introvert. Charisma is not necessary for successful leadership. Knowledge and application of leadership skills is necessary for successful leadership. A fourth myth, and this one is kind of a spin-off of the rarity comment as well, and that's that leadership only exists at the top. We like to think that it's always they. You know, when we talk leadership, it's they. It's not us here, it's they. Well, no. Leadership exists at all levels in an organization. Certainly CEOs, other C-levels, vice presidents, certainly they hold leadership positions. But you know what? You go all the way down to individual contributors. I want you to think about people who hold non-management, non-supervisory roles, and tell me that others don't look to them for leadership. Of course they do. Of course they do. We have referent leaders at every level of the organization. So they do not exist solely at the top. And the final one that kind of leads into the rest of our sessions that I do want to touch on is that leaders, to be successful, must direct, control, prod, if you will. No, that's not what they do. Leaders encourage, leaders enable, Leaders motivate to the extent that people will give us that discretionary effort. Remember we talked earlier, discretionary effort, that effort which people will give us that is beyond what we require them to do. Folks, that's the holy grail of productivity. Someone working for us has a required set of deliverables or tasks that they have to do. If they do more than that, which is their sole option, they're the only person who can determine whether they do that or not. They do that because they were motivated, encouraged, and allowed feedback from leadership. So leaders don't prod and poke and control. No, they encourage and they motivate.